What happens when you ask random people if you should change the race of your main character? Not good things, really. That's what happens to the writer of I Want to Eat Your Guts. Hello, I'm Doven, this is my friend Brenna. In this video, we'll be taking a look at what happened and what you can learn from something like this.
Ooh, I just love talking about this sort of stuff. Lots of deep dives and reading things to learn more info. Something to listen to while washing dishes or drawing.
Oh, speaking of, Samantha's outside slowly charging up her car and catching up with FIFA.
How far back is she?
She doesn't know that Mexico lost yet, and I don't think she's gonna take it well.
I am going to scream if Mexico loses to those beans on toast eating motherfuckers.
Oh, and please do not attack anyone mentioned in this video. Just argue in the comments instead. Thank you.
I Want to Eat Your Guts, or IWEG, is a concept created by artist Brujoari. They originally collaborated with Shockwave Animation 2024 to produce the series based on their idea, but that would fall through April 2026, citing creative differences. And currently, rather than making a full series, they now want a shorter show format called Little Bites, as well as a pilot episode sometime in the future.
Did we ever find out what creative differences meant?
No, but people did speculate on Twitter why that may be. And of course, since then, they've been drawing their characters here and there. To give the rundown, and taken from Shockwave's website, it's about two lower middle class teenagers as they navigate their lives in the ever-changing early 2000s. The main characters being Kate and Alex.
Oh, that sounds pretty interesting, like in MTV's Downtown or Mission Hill.
Sort of like that, yeah. But the inciting incident that caused this video to exist happened June 27, 2026. One of the writers of IWEG, actually I might just refer to as Your Guts throughout the video because that's a long title and a weird pronunciation for the shortened form. Anyway, one of the writers of The Sunny Side asked their audience if Kate should be Afro-Latina. They would have a poll in their replies asking yes or no.
So, were people angry because they didn't want her to be Afro-Latina?
Well, more so that they even made a poll in the first place. Twitter user Pianyor, whose tweet would get 12k likes, would say,
Hot take, but I think if the race of your main character can be decided by asking Twitter, you haven't written a complex or compelling character. If I make a character black, it matters to the story, and that the character is black. Haphazard representation is not good representation.
Another tweet by KO Mick from X, whose tweet got 13k likes, would say,
I'm not a hater or anything, but I've seen more redesigns for this character than an actual story about them. Like, I genuinely feel like some creators deadass just go, here's my OCs. Can I get my fandom now?
Brujo would initially respond a day later with a repost from his Patreon, stating, the idea of Kate being half black is nothing new. It has almost been a cute joke around fans since a lot of people think she is black at the first encounter of my art. He would further say that talking of Sunny, a black writer, talked about how it made a lot of sense for Kate. A lot of character moments revolve around the black experience. Then it could mean a lot to have an Afro-Latina in the lead role in a show comic like this, noting that in indie space, where white is still considered the norm, and the anti-blackness is prominent.
Did something happen recently with that?
Oh yes, a lot of people were shitting on Hey by Tuner Victorica a bit ago when I got funded. I might actually make a video on what happened sometime later.
I think you should. I'd love to know more about it. Stuff like this makes my shift go by faster.
Speaking of, does your boss know that we're chatting? You're not doing any work?
I am the boss. The last guy died doing Fent in the bathroom.
Ah, wow. Okay, let's continue then. Lastly, Brujo would state that Kate is going to barely change, as a lot of her current struggles still tie into this change to her character. Nothing is official just yet, as they are still exploring ideas. Some people would note that their initial responses on Instagram were a bit defensive, with Brujo asking why people care so much about their decisions for the story, that they're still brainstorming ideas, and that they can do whatever they want with these characters. Brujo would make one last statement on the matter both in English and Spanish, as they want to clear up any and all misunderstandings with what had happened.
Hey, that's pretty cool of them, and it makes it easier to read for more of their fan base.
I'm going to throw everything on screen if you want to pause and read, because I'm just going to be skimming through this, highlighting notable words, but continuing on. Brujo would state that they want to expand Kate's personality by bringing more representation to his main character. That so much of Kate already aligned with the experiences and influences of both cultures, it made sense to include it. But they were worried because they were a small team, and asked the public to see how people from different backgrounds felt about this change. It was a genuine question, and they wanted to hear people's thoughts, but they reflected that making a poll about a significant change was the wrong approach. Instead of creating discussion, they created a contest to vote on what aesthetic Kate should have.
I mean, that's sorta like if Gooseworks just asked her fans if she should make Jax trans or not after episode 1 released. Like, that's your story. Why are you asking us?
Brujo wanted to apologize to his audience and anyone who felt hurt or deeply uncomfortable because of it. People would know Brujo already has Afro-Latina characters and to focus more on them instead of doing this change. They didn't intend to make Kate Afro-Latina in order to replace or overshadow other black female characters of theirs. He wanted to add another perspective and explore different backgrounds and settings. Much in the case of Kate being chubby doesn't overshadow his plus-size characters. His idea was about adding to that diversity, not taking away from it. They said that he feels like anyone who is a close friend or writer doesn't have all the information about the story, that a lot of people barely know anything about Kate and Alex. They wanted the show, formerly produced by Shockwave, to naturally introduce the characters in the backgrounds. So the plan now is to start off and reintroduce the basics. He'd also clarify about the people who were worried that Kate would lose her indigenous features, where rather the main visual changes discussed was giving her more textured hair and letting her wear protective hairstyles. Kate would end up not being Afro-Latina, as he didn't want that to be an afterthought to her character.
It did sort of feel like a tacked on thing to a seemingly already established character in their story, like they wanted to put all of their eggs into one basket of a character creation.
Brujo also noted with the two Instagram stories from earlier, they stated it was their way of putting their foot down and standing by his creative freedom, but the way he worded it came across badly, and that it seemed like anyone shouldn't care about what he does. He would apologize for how those Instagram statements made people feel. They end these tweets by thanking everyone who supported them so far, and that he is still learning how to navigate having a larger audience. That he has a lot to learn, and that he wants to keep growing both as an artist and as a creator.
I think that was a nice clarification for this sort of ordeal, addressing what people didn't like and recognizing issues that need to be resolved.
Yeah, I'd say pretty much covered what needed to be said. And now that we got all that out of the way, I can talk about my thoughts and discuss a little stuff here and there, you know what I mean?
How fun.
What's interesting about this concept is that to a regular person, you wouldn't know much about these characters unless you closely followed Brujo. Note of course, the original designs were based on Jotaro and Kakyoin from JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. This could be why one of the earlier incarnations of Kate, who at the time was called Naranki Kakyoin, was Mexican-Japanese, then later Mexican-American.
I would say this might tread into haphazard representation, as a few tweets touched upon, if the character isn't written well. Or rather, how to some it felt tacked on, rather built from the ground up for the character.
I think Brujo has a lot of characters who can explore these themes already, or just create new ones that can better suit the narrative he wants to tell. On top of that one shoot I mentioned earlier, about how people have seen more redesigns of the characters than stories, I can see where they're coming from. Brenna, you don't follow Bruno, but can you remember what you saw on the timeline whenever his posts show up?
Well, I remember seeing a 2026 redesign, quite a few adult variants, some gender-bent ones, monster and even actor variants. I remember the show's designs looked drastically different only a year later from the artist's current style.
And what'd you think of those?
I mean, I thought they were cool, but I felt like it sort of distracted from the main comic idea to begin with.
Well, a change in art style is natural. Hell, at this channel start, we had 2D backgrounds and I looked like this thing. With how many variants of Brujo's characters there are, I can see how one might be a bit confused with where he wants to take this idea. Keeping some consistency can make it easier for newcomers to follow along the journey of these characters. While many long-running comics and graphic novels change art styles over time, there's at least a concrete body of work to get accustomed to, so when you read it, it changes with the viewer. For example, The Amazing Digital Circus is not a comic.
Actually, it is.
Alright, I mean, this show. With comparing episode 1 to the last one, you see a quality improvements over the course of production, but the characters still share similar aspects rather than outright design change for the characters. Unless you watch One Piece, but that was like a time skip thing, I don't know, I haven't read it or watched it, except for the Netflix one, actually.
Please get back to the point you were making.
While I don't know why Shockwave and them split specifically, I can understand if the show and artists are going in opposite directions, it could cause confusion internally and brand-wise outwardly.
What do you mean by that?
You know, making turnaround sheets, merchandising, or even voice actors. As if Kate's character changed races, the creator might want to replace the current VA to have a more authentic voice for the characters. Noting how Brujo specifically talked about diversity in the indie cartoon space. On top of that, it's how the show is advertised. Keeping it consistent makes it easier for the audience to know what is official. If the characters keep changing, it could confuse the viewer, perhaps whether it is a real production or not, or a fan work of some sort, an alternate universe, you know?
I see what you mean. Having stuff set in stone makes it easier in the long run.
I think Brujo is a fantastic artist, but I think the pressure of making a show, or rather anything animated right now, might be where a lot of the hangups lie. On top of that, there isn't an easy way for fans or newcomers to really appreciate and understand the comics already made.
Well, I know they have a link tree. Oh, it only has their Patreon.
Where Brujo has a separate Instagram for the comics, it is a bit hard to find. I think taking time to add all of his socials, it would make it easier to find his completed works. On top of that, I think making it official websites who can read the completed comics might make it easier as well. That way you have a definitive way to house everything about these characters. This would have been a perfect place to put an ad for a website maker, but this video has no sponsor. But I like Card, it's cheap and works.
I also use Card.
On top of that, I'd forego any notion of a cartoon until the baseline of the characters and the world are written down. Maybe taking a week or even a month to write and focusing on not only world building, but what comics you need to make in order to establish the characters in the world. You don't want a case where people have to run to social media to figure out stuff about your characters when you have comics or other media you can make. I'd prefer it to be in text as much as possible.
I'm bi.
What? I already knew that.
But the audience didn't. I'm also 30, was born in Saskatchewan. I met Doven in college during math class. I also like cheesecake and salmon.
Then that'd save me some posts. But anyway, I think hiring some VAs to dub the already made comics to put onto YouTube and TikTok could also go a long way. Not only getting more people interested, but also making some extra revenue from their works. Starting off with shorts, then making compilations for longer videos, this could be a wonderful start in finalizing and doing more of these characters.
Also, maybe having a year timestamp or saying adult/teen, Kate, lets people know when the comic takes place, in case he wants to do more time-skipping stuff.
And I'm gonna time skip back to May 2026, where Brujoari talked about how they haven't been able to properly draw for a bit of time. He described that since they wanted to put more complexity into their art, he has become more demanding to himself. It changed the way he works, and he struggled to optimize his process in order to be more productive. Also, it's very hot in their country and they don't have proper ventilation, so drawing is 10 times worse. But they are pushing through, and one tips on how to improve things. It's been a few months, so I hope they got an air conditioner or something, but I can completely understand how they feel. Well, one, because of the heat. I got a window unit, and that's been helping a lot. And also mainly the art stuff, of course.
Believe me, the heat sucks here in Texas.
Like I said, Brujo is a very talented artist, and they have a massive audience on multiple platforms. You can feel as if you're putting more weight onto your mind with your work for one reason or another, that you might feel that you always have to keep improving or keep changing things to make it feel fresh. This could have been why there are many variants, that they wanted to have a little fun drawing characters in different scenarios and be less restrictive on themselves. Or perhaps the concept of moving forward of something pre-planned was a bit daunting. But part of making a show or even a comic is that you have to treat it like a job with some structure. Brujo has a lot of ideas, but pen needs to be put to paper. My channel, I've already planned several new locations, characters, and rigs for the rest of the year.
Conveniently blurred, because it's a secret for now.
But with that, I have a plan of what needs to be done in order to have everything ready for you, the viewer, to see. Pre-production is an important step to any idea. In treating this more like a production, you can start to see things fall into place better, such as what characters you need to introduce, or what emotional sides of the characters you want to show off, and a comic or two. Writing down not only who these characters are, but how you want to portray them is a fantastic start into letting your audience into your world. Brujo already passed the hard part with any production, being a fan base, and now the second hardest thing is finalizing the ideas and putting them out there. As an anecdote, I previously worked for someone on a project, of whom I won't name, and asked what ideas they had and where they wanted to take their characters, but they didn't have anything. No arcs, no log lines, nothing really to go off of.
Just vibes, it seems.
Yeah, and after I hoped to reestablish the world, filling in gaps with the backstory, I had to have an important conversation about what the creator wanted to do with their characters. For you, the viewer, if you have an indie show or comic you want to make, while it can be difficult, you have to finalize some ideas in order to move forward with your production. Your ideas will only stay your ideas until you figure out a way to get them out there. And I don't mean asking for Kickstarter money or spending 30k of your own money on a project. Brujo is a wonderful illustrator. They already have an avenue to let their OCs live, and I believe they are more than capable of achieving their vision. At the end of the day, I want Brujo and their team to have fun with these characters and see them grow into something more.
I'm sure their fans would love to see more with their project and see more comics of them in wacky or sad scenarios.
I do hope this revelation and incident changes the trajectory as an online artist. Also, that by this time next year, we see more people talking about the comic rather than how many times the character has been redesigned. But let's get out of my head for a little bit and read some audience responses.
Ooh, I'm excited to see what people have been saying.
I think if he's changing the character designs this frequently, I think they need to put a pause on production in the animation process until Brujo is confident that his designs are ready. I understand that as someone who has multiple OCs, your art is always changing and your OC represent that change through the redesign, and that's sick, however. You can always do it how TDAC did and change it over time throughout the show, but I do really like the redesign here.
Oh boy, we're finally getting this video. As an OC creator and designer myself, I think it's both valid for an artist to change their OC as much as they want because it's their character. But it's also valid to get tired of the changes being constant and almost a consistent thing. Why would you agree to an indie show or have merch of your characters when their designs aren't final or keep being changed and altered time and time again? It can get repetitive. Although, the good that came out of this was Kate having more meat on their bones, so hey, no objections there.
I think personally that changing your designs over time is absolutely fine and part of the artist's journey, but as someone who's followed Brujo since the JoJo fanart days, the redesigns and maybe even constant detail addition mid-production are so frequent that at some point I start questioning if they have everything on the table ready to continue the series. Brujo's style and personality through the art is absolutely fantastic, but if they're doing this frequently, it makes me think they need to pull a No Man's Sky and directly focus on the production of the series rather than posting designs/tidbits online. The designs will change over time naturally anyway. You can see it in other online series like Metal Family, and even TDAC over time. It's been over 2 years. I thought by now we'd gotten more updates about the writing/animation tidbits, or maybe even a character website. But hopefully in the future things settle, and maybe we'll get some lovely work from Brujo and their team. I think situations like this are a great learning opportunity for both the creator and even other artists to make it their own works, and how you want to approach storytelling as well as how you want to design the characters both visually and or writtenly.
That's not a real word.
Regardless of real words or not, there's a lot that goes into production, and taking time to build the world as well as the characters can give you a nice foundation. And finalizing, or at the very least having character ideas or plot lines written down, gives you a good starting point. There's been many instances where a show goes off in a different direction than initially intended.
Oh yeah, like how Jesse Pinkman was actually intended to be killed off in the first season of Breaking Bad. In Squid Game, Gi-hun almost ended with him actually getting on the plane and leaving instead. Or even how Adventure Time went into more complex and darker themes as the show went on.
Yes, exactly. Part of the beauty of writing is to see your characters grow with you, and seeing how people respond to your choices and where you take these people. And that only would be possible when you clear your mind and get your ideas out there.
Starting with putting pen to paper.
Fuck off, England!
Oop, I think she finally got to the end of the game.
You won't believe who won.
I might have an idea.
Oh, also, thanks for letting me charge for free while y'all talked. I always forget there's barely any electric chargers in our desert.
I keep telling you the Cybertruck was a bad idea.
But it makes me look so cool.
It doesn't, but have a nice rest of the night, Brenna. We gotta get going.
Good night, you two. Always great to talk with you, Doven.
Oh, we forgot to end the video. Until next time, have a great day and keep on drawing. Whoa, it's fan art time. For this week, I Want to Be Called Spaghetti made this cool 3D model of Brenna. I think they did a lovely job.
Damn, I look good. They got my hips right, that's for sure. Volume.
And lastly, we have some Samantha fan arts by Jack DuBois. I think it's cool whenever I see pen and paper arts, like, it's physical, it's somewhere out there in the world.
Aw, little notebook me.
And lastly, we got this fan art from Octaface based on that one Sir Payload video I was parodied in from 7 years ago. Alright, now that was the end of the show. Good night, everybody.
Hello, world. I'm back from being sick. My first decree of being back. Starting meds. Give me my meds. Meds.